signing something feels like the end of a process. It is closer to the beginning of one, because almost every agreement contains rules about how it can be changed afterwards, and those rules are worth more than most of the clauses they govern. A clause that lets one side rewrite the terms later is more powerful than any single term it could rewrite. So today, one question asked of two completely different real documents. After you sign, who is allowed to change this, and what do they need first? I expected to find something to be annoyed about. I did not, and that turned out to be the more useful outcome. Two documents, deliberately unlike. A 5-page tenancy addendum that gets stapled to a rental agreement, and a 15-page insurance policy. Both public, both blank forms, nobody's actual paperwork. The point is not either document. It is that the same question works on both, which is the only way to know a method is a method rather than a coincidence. Here is what each one says. The lease addendum. The tenant and the owner may not make any change in the tenancy addendum. Neither side. At all. The insurance policy. This policy cannot be changed, nor can any of its provisions be waived, without the express written consent of a federal administrator. Not the insurer alone. Not you alone. And then the one clause that does change by itself. If a change broadens your coverage and costs no extra premium, it applies automatically. You are not asked, you are not told, and it can only ever help you. Which is a genuinely good clause, and I would not have found it looking for traps, because I would have stopped reading it cannot be changed. So ask the question every time, and notice that today the answers were reassuring. That matters more than a scary example would, because it tells you what a good answer looks like. Named parties, a named condition, and a change that only moves one way. Now compare that to an agreement that says we may modify these terms at any time. Same question, completely different answer, and you would never feel the difference without having seen both. Search for change, amend, modify, and waive, and read who the sentence is about. That's what two public forms say on the pages shown, and it is not legal advice. So here is how to find this on anything, and it is 4 words. Change, amend, modify, waive. Between them they catch practically every clause about altering an agreement, in leases, policies, terms of service, employment letters, and everything else written in this register. And for each hit, 3 questions rather than 1. Who may do it? One side, both sides, or nobody? What do they need from you first? Nothing, notice, or consent? And those 3 are wildly different. And when does it take effect? Immediately, at renewal, or at the next term? That third one is where the real difference lives, because a change that takes effect at renewal is one you can walk away from, and a change that takes effect immediately is not. Write the answers down as 3 columns, and you have something you can compare across agreements, which is the only way any of this becomes a skill rather than a one-off. 2 contracts that both say they can be amended can mean completely opposite things, and the difference is never in the word amend. It is always in the condition attached to it. And this is why finding a reassuring answer today was worth more than finding an alarming one. You now have a benchmark. A good amendment clause names the party, names the condition, says when it bites, and where it is automatic it only moves in your favor. Hold that next to we may modify these terms at any time, effective upon posting, and the difference is not a matter of tone. It is the difference between an agreement and a standing invitation to rewrite one. Most people have never seen the good version, so the bad version reads as normal. And notice what effective upon posting actually asks of you. It makes you responsible for checking a page you have no reason to visit, on a schedule nobody tells you, for changes you will not be notified about. The lease addendum does the opposite. It puts the limit on the party with more power, in one sentence, on page 5, where anyone can find it. That is not legal sophistication. That is just a document that expects to be read. 3 things to take away. Ask who can change it and what they need, before you ask what it currently says. Sweep for change, amend, modify, and waive. And when a document gives a good answer, notice it. That is your calibration for every document after it. One last thing, because I set out to make a more cynical video than this. The premise I started with was that agreements are full of clauses letting the other side move the goalposts, and on these 2 documents that is simply not what is there. One of them cannot be changed by either party at all. The other needs a federal administrator's written consent, and its single automatic change can only ever broaden your cover. Reporting that honestly is more useful than the video I planned, because a channel that finds something sinister in every document is not analyzing documents. It is performing a genre. The reason to read carefully is not that everything is a trap. It is that some things are, most things are not, and the difference is written down in ordinary sentences on a specific page. Everything here is what two public forms say on the pages shown. For anything you are actually signing, ask someone qualified. One of these every day on the paperwork nobody enjoys. Subscribe if that's useful to you.